Appreciate it. Oh, lively. Well, here I am. Everybody. Hello. Pretty good? That is good. Oh, that was Bradley that did it that time. Did you do it for me? Thanks. All right, awesome. Welcome to team meeting, everybody. I think you need to give me. Let's fill some buckets. Who has a bucket they want to fill this week? I know you guys know there's a lot of good stuff happening. So let's fill some buckets. Anybody?
I'll do it. I had, for Corey Bergner, I did a coaching on Friday at Roosters and came and spoke to them about how he started his business at and I'm just super appreciative.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's very cool. Love it. Who else? Wow, do we need to take
Should
like
we-
a few
should we
minutes
wait
to walk
here
through
for
some
someone else?
gratitude and how to look for it in every day? I feel like I'm always the one filling all the buckets. Bradley.
Last week, Steph just came up and gave me a nice thank you card and told me she appreciates me and.
Oh,
Really nice
yeah.
of her and not something that was necessary.
Yeah, that was awesome. Steph is such a sweetheart.
I told her to do it.
Did you? Your bucket.
I'm just kidding.
I want to fill the buckets of Jen and Chris, who aren't in this room, but I'm hoping they're on Zoom, but they reached out to me maybe a couple weeks ago and just said, we should do just like some outside of learning. We learn together a lot. We do a lot of trainings together, but let's just have some fun little things that we can do with each other, maybe once a month. They're like, it doesn't have to be the office, but just something that we can do to get together. So they were the ones that suggested the picnic. So weird. So anyway, I just want to fill the buckets of those two that suggested it, and then everybody that showed up. It was a lot of fun. Sean.
I also want to say thanks for those who came and helped. And it was a fun little picnic, and we had a lot of people who pitched in and set things up and taking things down, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fun, and then for Allison for putting together the coaching social / overview of the program, and it was phenomenally well put together. So thank you.
Good job. Okay. Awesome. Anybody else before we move on?
Jesse put one in chat, Tolman. She wants to thank Justin for teaching her about rentals and Dalton for sharing his knowledge as well.
Oh, I love it. I think Justin just left the room, so we'll have to remind him we'll tell him when he gets back in. Do you want to give me back control again? Sorry. Okay, let's go through wants and needs. What new listings do we have coming up? Or do you just list or price reductions or listings you want to talk about? Sure.
I've kind of a fun one. I've got one probably going to go live this Friday or Saturday. It's a 2,000 square foot log cabin in Liberty. That's just like a couple minutes from Nordic Valley. It'll probably enter around 900, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of a unique one. They bought the lot and built the house themselves. So
Oh, that's awesome.
cute.
And you told me it's a log cabin and it's in Liberty?
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. That'll be a good little listing. That's awesome. Did I spell your name?
Mhm.
It's got me.
Well done. Yeah.
I was like,
What's the age on that?
What's the what on that?
Age?
As far as the year built?
New,
or-
old, in between.
Oh, it's new.
New.
Yeah. It's cute.
awesome. Catherine.
I have a price reduction on a townhouse out in Harrisville. Was 335, it's now 330, so $5,000 reduction. We really need to get that gone.
Okay.
3-bedroom, 1 bath, really cute with a private patio that's all fenced in.
I think I saw this one. That's a nice little community too. They have garages, right?
One car.
Yeah, little one-car garage.
in the park.
I'm surprised that hasn't gone.
Well, we've had some really creative offers
Oh, got it.
and
Okay. What else? New listing.
We got one in Plain City, it'll be listed tomorrow. Big 20, I believe is what we're doing. The 3-bedroom, 2 bath, 3,400 square feet. Unfinished basement, ½ acre.
Oh, that's a nice big lot.
Yeah.
Is that a newer home, I'm guessing?
I was 6.
And it's going live tomorrow. Awesome.
And then Thursday, we have one in Logan, the 3-2, 1,500 square feet patio home. We had $399.
And that one's in Logan, you said?
Yeah.
Awesome. Another one?
The price reduction on our Riverside one,
Riverside price reduction, what's it down to?
680. 7-bedroom, 3.5 bath. 1.7.
Oh, wow, that's in Riverside.
And it's a 380. Okay, Sherry, then Sean.
725 in Woods Cross. And there's like nothing, there's only 8 homes available in Woods Cross, and there's nothing new, and it's like 2019, but it was used for model home for 2 or 3 years, so it's basically like 2023, fairly good looking. 4-bed, 3-bath, 3-car garage. And a really awesome community right next to Odyssey.
Nice.
Oh, we've got everything. Yeah, it's like, yeah. Really, really.
Awesome. Any others? You can pull this for me tonight. I was like, I know there's, I added an E, even as I wrote it, I knew it was wrong, so I fixed it. Sean,
This first one I'm gonna give, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a rental one. Just because I might be way off on my numbers. But 1,740 square feet, 3 beds, 1 bath, 3323 Jackson. It's gonna be around, I decide to sell it, it's gonna be around 410. Something like that.
okay,
But it might be a rental. And if I rent it, it's gonna be around 2,100. Then I have another one that is gonna be for sale. 3357 square feet, it's in North Ogden. It's gonna be 619. It's got a beautiful deck, hot tub, awesome views, large yard. The garage is a 2-car door, but it's like you could fit 4 cars in there because it's super deep all the way around. And it is 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So it might need to be 5 bedrooms.
okay.
It's got a downstairs kitchen. It's a cool place.
What year was that one built?
That one was built in 98, but remodeled in 24.
I know, and, it is, you said it has a second kitchen,
Yeah. Well, kitchenette, it's called that.
okay? Right. Let's see. Did I miss somebody?
I'm gonna go after Christy.
They're deciding this one.
We picked Christie, arm wrestle.
We have 3, 2 currently live, one's going live tomorrow or Thursday, depending on pictures. So one is in Kaysville, 500,000, 4-bedroom, 2 bath. The basement bedroom can be split into 2, so you have 5 bedrooms, actually.
Okay.
Ogden, 475, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, right across from the OWTC. The OTEC, yeah. So good area there. And then, the one that's coming on tomorrow or Thursday is a short sale in Clinton Town Hall, 320. Bank approved 320, so it's ready to go. 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath.
It's a 320 bank approved price. Are those townhomes, do they allow rentals?
They do.
What's the HOA on it?
It is. I can't, either 125 or 145, I'll double
Are
check.
they the ones that are just like west of 2000?
No, they're actually right, we come off, we take the west gate, the circle west gate and come on 800 north. Right over the very first overpass on 800, right there.
Okay, are they the ones that have the garage with them? One car?
1-car garage, yep. Yeah, bank approved, so that one's pretty back.
Thanks.
And I do have a duplex, what's that? If I would be the duplex, I'd want to.
And your duplex, remind me, what's it listed at?
No, it's 620. About 595.
Oh, we went up.
It went up.
Okay.
Yeah. because we received an offer that was about that.
Oh, got
And
it.
so, and then there's another one that went on the market right after that at 625.
Oh, got it.
So
Okay.
it was like, I think we missed the mark, I'm like, we didn't, but okay,
Okay,
so there you go.
there we go.
Transparency.
Price going up. I like it. Okay. Allison,
I have a West Point one, it's, a Rambler, just under 3,200 square feet, built in 2012, and we're listed at 625. Super great yard, it's on a cul-de-sac,
That's super cute.
it is way cuter than any of Steph's listings.
she's not here to defend herself. She's gonna be typing in the chat if she's online. Super cute is mine. Awesome. Anything else you want to say about that one?
6 or 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms.
I still have my Clinton one, the seller, we talked through a price reduction versus rate buy down. The seller is willing to buy down the rate, which changes the payment by just shy of $500. Just so you guys know, I did the math, that would, to get the same price house payment, they would have to be searching, this house was listed for $835, it would have to drop all the way down to $760 for it to be equivalent in monthly payments. So if you have anybody even in that lower price, like if they're looking in $760 with the rate buy down, if they can qualify for the higher rate than that, I felt was a better way to go. Cause the price isn't off, it's just that price point that's not moving quite as much, is a huge difference. Also, our strategy on that is if they use our preferred lender, then Tommy will do a free refi for them anytime in the next 3 years. So I don't know if this is helpful, but one of the things I've been having conversations with people that are still waiting a minute is let's still look now. The chances of us being able to negotiate closing costs or rate buy down or anything along those lines, we're gonna be in a much better position now than if rates do drop and we end up back in our 2020, 2021 scenarios. We're gonna be as a buyer, they're gonna be in a better position if they purchase now and look for a rate buy down versus purchase when the rates go down and we're still in a supply and demand situation.
Yeah, all that competition.
Yeah, all the competition. So that's a conversation I'm having with a lot of people right now. If you guys aren't having that conversation or want some help kind of modeling how I'm having it, I think it's an important conversation to have because not all of us, but a lot of us in this room, we were in business in 2020 and 2021, and we saw a lot of heartache with buyers who were just getting outbid on property after property after property. So anyway, I think if you've got anybody that's on the fence or they're talking about waiting for rates to go down, it's a really good conversation to have. Christy.
Well, I think to that point is, I think some of us still have buyers that they couldn't compete in that market. And they're still looking for home to gain, so that's the right of life, like. They waited, they couldn't compete when the rates were 2%.
Yeah.
And so looking now, like they can get into something not overpaying and refinance.
Yeah.
Like telling that story that not everyone comes home.
Yeah, a lot of people went into rentals, right? They went into a 12-month lease. They did whatever they needed to do to be able to find a place to live. But if we get back to what that market is, I think we're gonna be, and that's a real possibility, I believe. You never know, obviously. My crystal ball is a little bit broken because I couldn't have predicted a lot of the things that have happened. So my crystal ball is a little fuzzy, but if I had to guess, I think that's potentially what we're gonna be looking at if rates do go. Right.
I've got one for discused.
Okay, hi Jessica.
She's got a price reduction in Brigham City for 4-bedroom, 2-bath, unfinished basement. It's going to 38,000 or 3,800,000 today.
380, probably.
Yeah, 380. That's what he said.
Okay. 4-3 and 380. Okay.
38000. On the chat, there's only 3 zeros.
Okay, 380K. Got it.
And then, go ahead.
Will you tell Jessica to text me that address? Me personally, I might have somebody for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Then Fabion's got a Clearfield townhome coming up. It's newer, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. gonna be around 35, 350K.
And that's in Clearfield.
And
Same question on that, townhouse Fabian, is it rentable and what's the HOA?
then you've got another one in Ogden, that 3 beds, 1 bath, 1 car garage. And got a newer roof, HVAC and windows at 325.
Nice, that's only 325. Okay, got it. Awesome.
But
Anyone
it's
else?
the first one's rentable and HOA is 160.
Awesome, anybody else? New listings, price reductions, wants or needs? Okay, moving along. Do we have the names for this project?
Yes, it's been on my desk.
Okay, I was like, I haven't seen these. Who's participating in 75 agent style heart? Christy's doing it, Catherine's doing it. Who else is participating? Anybody? I know we've got some people online doing it. Christy, what has been your biggest success this week? In the 75 heart challenge?
We've been doing our CMAs for our clients for the puppy out. After I just got them doing all of our, we're gonna target per neighborhood, with some pop buys around that. And also, I mean, I do my handwritten personally all the time, but, doing that has been good, and finally called this book today.
I love it. Okay, love it. What's been your biggest challenge with 75?
Honestly, nothing yet. It's actually helped me become more focused.
Mm.
And it's honestly like for full transparency for the room, like I have not participated with a lot of our challenges just because for me, I'm like, it's so much I've got to track and input, and sometimes that overwhelms me, like having to do something I've already doing, even though it's like I'm already doing that, and it's just like one more thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get out of my own way. And
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do this, it's like really easy, like I'm already doing the things anyway, so it's like
Yeah.
making me more accountable and keeping me more focused with me, right? So I love that.
I think a lot of times we get in our own way, exactly like you said, it's things that we would normally be doing anyway, but we lose track and the accountability, something about even just that little check mark, box, click, whatever the crap I'm trying to say. Just at the end of the day, like that little push of a button saying, yep, I did this today is a big accountability piece. So I love that. Catherine.
Just helping me to create better habits,
you know. Better habits, that's a big deal. What do you think? Is that one of your biggest challenges is actually just the activity and having the
Yes, not
habit?
letting other things get in the way, because
Yeah.
everything gets in the way.
Yes.
So I'm trying to or divert and make it.
I love that. That's one thing, just as I feels like there's been just this big, like all these like things that keep coming back into my mind, and like we talked about the one thing in our mid-year reset not that long ago. Chris talked about it in our leadership meeting. We talked about it in our ALC meeting, but one of those biggest things is like really making sure that you're creating a space for those most important things in your calendar, because the other stuff, like you said, it gets in the way, right? Like all the other things will always fill the space. They just will. They will take whatever time we allow them to have. And so it's really just creating that space and that like private little bunker space that nobody's going to get into. That was one of the things I loved that Corey came and talked to Allison's coaching group. One of the things that he said was really seriously creating the time in his calendar that nothing gets in the way of it. If you guys know Corey's very regimented anyway, like probably one of the most like regimented people that I know. But just creating a space that nothing gets in the way of, like everyone knows that is his bunker, it's his time. Do not come in and infiltrate his system in his zone. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm just like, there's some bunkers in other areas like life and work, right? That we got to create some bunkers around. And I think it's not just about being intentional with work, it's intentional with your life and the other things too, and making sure you've got that good there. So I love that. Thank you for participating. Sean.
I want to ask those who haven't participated or not participating, what's keeping you from doing so?
Ooh, good question.
So all look at your phones.
Everybody's like not making eye contact. Look, I'm just gonna look over here, so it's a safe space. Just shout it out. We won't even know who it is.
Just too rich, Sean. Too calm.
That's good thing to have.
Speak to that for myself, because I just found myself as an opposite getting in the class. Again, for me, it was like, I didn't need something, like, I had cortisol service, but I didn't need something like, for me, it was more like, one more thing you have to do. I already know what I need to do. But this go around, for me, it's doing something different, and I don't know what to do. I need as much help as I can get. So why not plug it up with you guys? Because like, you guys put so much energy and so much effort all the time. Like, I need to support you just as much, and even though, but it just helped me. It helped me like more focus with it. So I'm doubting myself, like, I know it's just safe, but I was like, I don't have one more second to fill out a form or to do this thing, like, or more even, I don't need the athletes, I don't need this or that. But it's bigger than that. It's like, I'm actually helping more people by being intentional and by being. I love really what you guys do, so that.
I love it. Oh, good feedback. I get it, guys. Look, we get it. We know there's a million different things that you could say yes to. And by saying yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, right? We understand that. That's why we really do try with the challenges. Like you said, we try to have things that you're doing anyway, or you should be doing anyway, or that you want to create better habits around, and then just creating the intentionality behind it. We did in one of our monthly masterminds, you guys, if you get an invite to that, they really are pretty fun and they're not scary. And we do, so anybody who has a birthday in the month is invited to that mastermind. And then also anybody that had $1 million month that month is invited. And one of the things we talked about is what are the prizes that you would rather see that would make it more fun. And it was like resounding like experiences, things like that. And so that's why, thankfully for Ken donated his house for us to be able to give that as the giveaway at the end of the 75 card. And each week that you participate, you get an entry into that. And so remember that we are really all about creating the habits and helping you get there. So you don't have to be perfect. We're not even like the real 75 card. That's why it's kind of like 75 medium, because if you don't complete it for the whole week, that's okay. You always get the opportunity to try again next week. Or if you miss your calls one day, you can make up the calls the next day. So there's really honestly we're trying to help you create habits and also just understand like life gets in the way. So anyway, I'm just going to encourage you, if you haven't started, it's a good thing to start. You can still do it. Make sure you're reporting to Bradley so that we know who's participating, because otherwise we don't. Okay, Ken.
So James Shaw did a 30-minute Facebook post yesterday that was phenomenal. It was from the beginning of the MREA, page 39 through page 41. And he was talking about when the market is tough, like it has been for the last year, we tend to get discouraged, we tend to get anxious. And so instead of looking inward, we look outward. And we try to blame the brokerage, we blame our spouse, we blame the market. And his thing was, and I thought it was great, is that, we need to be looking inward, not outward. If you change brokerages, you're taking you with you. And so unless you make a change.
I go everywhere I go, right? Yeah.
It's just the same, it's the same thing, just in a different location, it's geography. And so his thing and the MREA says, everything can be solved through consistent use of systems. And that was our intent with the 75 part, is to identify some systems that we believe will bring you success, and then to create consistency around those systems. So we're doing exactly what the MREA says we should be doing during this difficult time. And with the changes coming up on the 17th, if you're not plugging into that, I don't know. I mean, that's what it's all about, is develop, picking the systems and being consistent with them. I think that's your to what you said is that, that she's having great success because she's doing that on a more consistent basis.
Right. Well, what we focus on expands too, right?
Yeah.
So I know with the listing contest, Chris Brower, one of the things that he said to me after he walked in my office a month later, whatever, have 6 listings right now, and all of them just because I was focused on listings sometimes. So what you focus on expands for sure. Okay, anybody else, any comments?
I just wanted to confirm, so if you signed up for it, you can still participate every week, it's like a new week.
Yep,
Okay.
new week, fresh start. So that's not how 75 hard is. That one is like you start over from day one again. And we really just wanted to create some real life, like real life happens. And there might be something that happens in your life that you can't make your calls those 3 days or 4 days or whatever. And so that doesn't mean you shouldn't still start. So you can start fresh anytime. And if you guys need the list of what it is, again, let me know and we can do it. And then I'm gonna do the same giveaway because guys, I've been getting the feedback, but also I think that they're really important. So you can choose one of the 3 books that we've had, and we've had the new buyer guide, which is a fun, like for you probably don't need it, but it's a great giveaway if you want to hold like a webinar or you're meeting with a first time home buyer or something like that. It can be a good giveaway. The one thing if you have not read that, I'm just gonna almost force you to take that one because there's so many good things in it. It's on my like reread list almost every year, or the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. So.
If you miss a day, it doesn't mess up your whole week. Just double up the next time.
Christy. You want, so just tell me which one you want. Exciting. Okay. Well, she's gonna make you read it. That's what Justin just said to Ashley. She's gonna make you read it. Can you? Okay, coming up this week, we've got today. Bradley and Lauren, tell us about today at 2 o'clock. What is happening?
Oh, we got another tech training.
Oh, yeah. Another tech training.
It's pretty good. That's another one of our excellent classes.
Guys know you all wanna come spend time with us, just meet us in the last conference room at 2, we'll learn some things.
This one's all about your opportunity and pipeline management. Love it. And then Thursday is about document management and DocuSign. So if you're struggling with that or need a little help with DocuSign, even if you've done DocuSign before, there's so many times where I'm sitting with an agent and they're like doing it this way. I was like, wait, did you know they can do this and then this? And they're like, what? So anyway, if you feel a little rusty with DocuSign, come to that training.
Or if we're not using it,
Or if you're not using it,
I know there's some agents out there, I love you all.
come to the
but
training.
It'll simplify your life a little bit.
Remember that tomorrow is the good old fashioned Pioneer or something we call it Pioneer Day. We don't care which one you want to celebrate, but we're not going to be here. So that is tomorrow. Office is closed. And then on Friday is the June Millionaire Month and July birthday mastermind. Words are hard for me today, guys. Sorry. And that is Friday morning. Save the date for this. So we're really excited about this. Craig Wagner, who you guys know from the legal counsel for the Utah Association of Realtors, is going to come to our office on August 6th at 11:30, and he's going to go over the new contracts. So the only thing that would delay this is if for some reason they haven't actually given the final thumbs up and release. We do not suspect that that will happen. We think that this is what's going to be. If not, we'll go over other questions. But if you have anybody that you want to invite to this, please feel free to do so. I feel like it's really important for you guys to be part of this meeting. So if there's only one thing that you can put on your calendar for August, this needs to be it. I have a feeling, and it's not just a feeling because I'm having a lot of conversations with agents inside and outside of our brokerage that just really are kind of sticking head in the sand. They're going to deal with the changes as they come up. Guys, it's already going to be Wild West enough. We don't need to add to it by not knowing what we're doing with the contract, okay? I don't want you guys to be the ones that come to me and you have no idea what we're even talking about with the changes. We're going to talk about that today, so you're in the right room. But if you have a friend in the office that maybe you haven't seen for a minute, this is a good time to be like, hey, my agent buddy, come into the class because you need to be there on the 6th. So grab a partner and do-si-do. It's going to be right here in this training room. We sent it out to several other agents and recruits, and I already have gotten 10 responses in the last 24 hours. So we'll probably not have tables depending on what number we're at. We'll probably just do some chairs. I think we'll pack the room. So anyway, it's a really important meeting to be at. They're going to go over the changes. how you're gonna speak to them, how to implement them, and all of those things. And that goes into effect just like 10 days after this. So it's really important to have that in there. Allison, what do you want to tell us about this? It's today.
Yeah, today from 5 to 6, so, a foundations class, if you have anybody that you want, to be more successful in real estate, get back to the basics, you can come to that, or you can have them come to that. If they come to that and then, they join our office as a recruit, it helps grow your profit share tree. And, I don't know if you were gonna announce this, but we just crossed 2 billion in.
Yeah, I just remembered that slide is not, I was gonna do that
Is
slide.
profit share, like, that's massive.
Did you guys hear 2 billion with a B? 2 billion in profit share as a company.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
just by helping other agents be successful.
And in our office last month, we just pushed over the $50,000 mark. So
This year.
and
in the
this
first
just
6
this
months.
year, in the
Yeah.
first 6 months of the year, paid out 50,000 in profit share. So that's a big deal too. Okay, awesome. Mega agent camp. This is one of your last reminders to register. The price does go up August 1st. So I know people were talking about registering. I've had a couple people now reach out and want to share rooms with somebody. So I know Francis for sure is looking. I think there was somebody in the St. George office that was looking. Both are females, so they're gonna maybe connect together, but it's not too late to get your stuff. If you still want to go register now, it goes up on August 1st. The hotel discount deadline is July 27th. So if you're wanting to get in on that hotel room block, you need to register because then you get a link to the discounted rates that will go up on the 27th, which is Saturday. So keep those two things in mind. And then it's August 12th through the 15th. If you are a MAPS coaching client on Thursday, they're doing MAPS because they're not doing a fall MAPS event. So they're going to actually do a coaching agent specific event on Thursday. So if you want to go to that. And then we've talked about family reunion too, but family reunion, we're talking about this in advance because as you guys know, Vegas, once things start happening there, the prices just go up and up and up on the rooms. It's the closest family reunion that we ever have is the one in Vegas. You could drive if you want to. Tickets are available now at a discounted price. And then I believe they will go up after Mega Camp ends. So if you want to register for family reunion, get that done sooner rather than later. Make sure that you are doing all of your calls in a TCPA friendly and compliant way. Why do you guys think we continue talking about this every single meeting? People are getting sued because you're not making your calls in a friendly TCPA compliant way. So please just make sure that you are in compliance. So before you call or text them, check and make sure they're not on the do not call registry. This isn't it's not in any state, county, or local do not call, and it's not in your internal do not call list. So even if somebody is not on the national database, but they told you personally, stop calling me, you have to put a note of that inside your command and keep track of it, and you cannot call them or solicit them, okay? Make sure you're doing that right. There's no exception to that rule, and unless they specifically give you permission to contact them, you cannot do it. It's $500 to $1,500 per violation. Per violation. And one more time, the E&O policy does not cover that. That is on you. It's your own fault, your own money.
Is there an easy way to look that up?
Sean,
Walking to the website, you throw your,
CCPA website, is it
Yep.
CCPA.com?
and then.
I
actually
think
should say
there
it there.
was something hanging around here. We'll send it out. Bradley, will you send out the link to that website in with the recap email?
But you literally could just type in your Google or Bing or whatever you search with, and you could say, do not call registry, and it pops up.
And that one you can do so many for free. And then it's after that, it charges you per number. So if you're scrubbing huge lists, like if you're doing a lot of cold calling, it might even be to your advantage to go in with somebody else because you can do ones that are just big, massive packages that you need to pay $10 a month for. Okay. Okay.
So the what I use is DNC Light, LITE.com, $25 a month for free. Then after that, there's a nominal cost of $29.95, something like that. So
LIT, wait, DNC, what?
LITE.com.
And the other link is do not call.gov.
It's where you search for people yourself.
Probably could have just been a lot, but I do not.
Where that one is, pretty one at a time.
This is gonna be a one at a time, that you can load in your spreadsheet. Okay. I wanna give you guys, we're gonna go over some of these today, but I wanted to, give you this to scan. If you wanna have it up while we're talking, you can scan this right here on your phone. You can also go into your agent command, go across the very top of command, you're gonna see a little button that says connect, you're gonna click on that. And then you can search, it's one of the things that scroll through anyway, but you can just search NAR. And it will bring up a resource page. The other thing it's gonna bring up, that if you haven't watched it and you do a lot of open houses, go watch this open house video. It's like 30 something minutes. And it will give you a lot of good information on what you can and cannot do as far as open houses go. There's also a quick, easy one-page guide and a page of FAQ. These are specific to Keller Williams. You can also get these. I'm gonna show you some other resources, but you can get them also on NAR directly on some FAQs that they have and through our MLS. So I'm gonna invite Sean and Ken. I really want them, you guys can come up here if you want, or you can say where you're at, but what we want this to be, we're gonna have Craig come in a few weeks and talk about the contract piece of it. We're getting a lot of kind of the same questions that are frequently asked questions. And I'm not saying that like, don't ask the questions. We're so glad you're asking the questions. I would rather you keep asking the questions 50 times and really understand it and get your verbiage correct when you're speaking to people versus not be sure about it. This is a good time for you also to be having conversations with your other agents. If you haven't typically done a buyer presentation in the past where that wasn't your habit, is to have an agency agreement signed up front, it's a really good time for you to start practicing that and what that means. Okay, so the good news is that we're all in this together and that we're all starting, like we're all ripping off the Band-Aid at the same time and we're all starting from the same level playing ground, right? So it's not one of those things where you're like, oh, I want to be like Justin and he's always done this so well, but I feel intimidated to ask him or ask a question. Everybody's navigating this new world together. Every single person in the state of Utah is going through the exact same conversations, doing the exact same things. So it's a safe space to ask and be masterminding around it. And I'd rather it be that today. But a couple things that I felt like we should just kind of chat through. So this is directly off of the Utah Associated. Now, if you've never logged into your UAR account, that's okay. You can get there by going into the MLS. Everybody logs into the MLS, right? If you haven't logged into the MLS, there's probably, you might be sitting in the wrong room. Because we got to log into the MLS. We should be looking at the inventory and that's how we find it, right? So if you go into the MLS, up across the top, I should have just taken a screenshot of that, but if you look at the top, no?
Nope.
Yes, it is. It's under help topics.
UAR is not.
It clicks, there's a link through, click on help. Let's walk through it right now. Do you have it open?
Under help with boards and associations.
No, click on help. Do you have it pulled up?
Yep, it has, yep.
And then go into your help topics. Yep, MLS rules and policies. Click on that. NAR settlement information. So if you're wondering how we got there, so we go MLS, help is in the top right-hand side of your screen. By the way, those help topics are great. You can schedule one-on-ones with the MLS. There's a lot of pre-recorded webinars on there, a lot of different information. Then you're gonna click on MLS policy, rules and policies. And then underneath there, you're gonna see directly NAR settlement. And it has links to the UAR website, and it also has links to the NAR website. Okay, that's directly where I pulled this information last night. So this is as of like right now, what's the most updated thing. So it says that in Utah, while the changes will be minimal, because of our pro-consumer laws and customs, Utah realtors are committed to helping buyers and sellers understand and navigate the key changes, or navigate the changes. The key settlement terms affecting the consumer are the following. By the way, there's also links for buyers and sellers on the UAR website. So it would probably be to your advantage to look and see what kind of information is out there that your buyers and sellers are looking at. Has anyone already had a conversation with a seller specifically that said, oh, I'm so excited, I don't have to pay an agent anymore? Because I've had that conversation. So if you're having conversations, it would be really good for you to give it a go as I like to do, give it a little Google and just type in like, National Association of Realtors Settlement or Buyer's Agent Commission or any keywords like that. Think in your buyer's mind, like jump into your buyer's head or your seller's head and think about how they would search for that and see what information they have. Also, this is one of those times where I feel like information is going to be your friend and it's, you know, knowledge is power. And so if you know, maybe some of the misinformation that's out there, or your client is interpreting it the wrong way, if you have facts directly from UAR or NAR, it's no longer Catherine saying, this is my belief of the situation. It's, here's some information that you might find helpful directly from our Utah Association of Realtors, okay? So just go in there and maybe look through that too as a consumer and see what they would see. It's in the UAR website. There's a click that says for agents, and then there's a click that says buyers and sellers. Information then for them as well. So in the state of Utah, we already have written agreements with buyers, right? So we've already been using written transparent agency forms with their buyers as required by the settlement. So this is part of the settlement. It's going to be significant change for across the country. In Utah, we've required this for decades. And quite frankly, I can't help but think if other states have maybe been a little more proactive and adopted a similar policy, I would like to think we maybe would not be in this same position. So anyway, it's going to be hopefully less of a change for us here in Utah as far as an agency agreement goes. But the practical changes that we'll see in Utah is buyers are going to need to sign this with the agreement with their agents before touring home. That's going to be our biggest, I think the two biggest things that we're going to see that everybody's going to try to interpret however way they can is having the agreement in place before you're touring homes. And then obviously the non-disclosure on the MLS of commissions, okay? So those are our two biggest things. And then the disclosure to the seller, again, it says the Utah Realtors are already providing the seller's disclosures under the settlement. The Utah Association of Realtors listing agreement discloses to the seller that the listing broker may share an amount of their compensation with the buyer broker. That's already been there. It's been there several years ago when clear cooperation came into place, is when they went even a step further and completely separated it out and said, this amount will be shared cooperation. Let's see, the seller signs and consents to this, and the agreement also states that brokerage fees are not set. There is no practical change here as the seller's requirement disclosures are already included in the standard listing agreement. There might be some minor changes to the agreement to make sure it aligns with the settlement, but as of right now, there's no major changes on the listing side because we've already done a really good job of separating. Compensation sharing. So this is just saying that there's listing brokers will no longer offer to offset the cost of the buyer's agent on the MLS and the published listing. Listing brokers may continue to offset the cost of the buyer's representation in negotiations that take place off of the MLS. Okay. Again, this is directly pulled from the website. So if you have questions about this, or you're like, I'm not sure what this looks like, I'm going to show you a nice little infographic you can see as well. But I think that this is one of the misunderstandings that we have. If people think that the seller is not allowed to pay the commission anymore for a buyer's agent, that's just simply not true. It's just not offered automatically through the MLS. It's negotiated in a case-by-case basis. But the seller, the listing brokerage can still share compensation with the buyer's brokerage, or the seller can compensate the buyer.
So what's Utah's stance on communication of that? Because it's my understanding there can be no communication of that.
So, and brokers are gonna have you trained in on this. It can't be communicated on an MLS.
I understand. I'm talking about you can't tell them, you can't email them.
That's not true. You can communicate it through text, email. You can communicate it on your own website, but it can't have an IDX link to MLS. So that kind of is what you're obviously not going to manage that on your
Only
website.
advertise your own
Your
own
own
BACs.
brokerage.
You can't say, hey, this one over here is willing to pay this. You can't. And you can even put on your sign if you want it. Sellers offering a 3% BAC.
Christy.
So speaking of websites, if we have a landing page created specifically for just that listing, we just have to be careful that that's not like, because that could essentially be found to think of it like, right?
Yeah, it can't link back to a website that uses an IDX feed. So if it's a true standalone, they can't click on it to see more listings, landing page. It's my understanding, and
That's, it can take, it can be on your MLS or your page that has MLS access, but only your listings can have the BAC on it. Does that make sense? Only listings from within our doors. So if you click on this listing and it's one of ours, the BAC can be there, but if you click on the next listing and it's through XYZ Realty, they cannot have a BAC on it.
but I don't believe there's any way for us to update that within our system, Sean. It would have to be a landing page. That then they would go to a landing page. You guys know what a landing page looks like? Has everyone created one? You haven't, they're so easy. In Command, you can just click to create a new landing page. And we'll pull in your listing information. It has beautiful photos, it has all the information about your listing. In that, you can customize and have your commission that you're offering to pay to a buyer's agent if you would like to. There you go. So any public websites, Cheryl, it can't be on.
I understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
talking about verbally or.
Email,
text.
text, verbally, you can have the conversations. Yes, that's how they're expecting us to do it, quite frankly.
Really?
So how that's more clear to the consumer, we're all still a little unsure of.
Well, there's.
Cause I thought the Justice Department didn't want any. From their point of view, they don't want any of those, that you can't offer it anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's on the MLS or verbally or whatever, you can't offer it. I mean, the buyer can ask for it and the seller can decide.
No, the seller
You
absolutely
still
can't
offer
offer it.
Yep.
Well, I know a seller can offer it, but what I'm saying is I was under the understanding that the Justice Department doesn't want agents, a listing agent offering that or having the conversation with another agent about
That's incorrect.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just what I, yeah, okay, I just wanted to be sure.
Actually,
Yes.
it might even be the case that commission will now show up on the REMC.
It is, just so you guys know, that is, Craig's gonna be coming on the 6th, but that is part of the change to the REPC. Is that it's actually gonna be part of that will say who doesn't. Is their commission being paid? Who's it being paid to? Who's responsible for paying it?
And,
It'll go-
and that's actually really super common in the commercial.
But they haven't totally made that public because they're still getting it vetted by the DOJ. To make sure the DOJ is okay with that. But if that's the case, that solves our problem. It's right in the UFC.
It's in the REPC, but here's the one thing that I think will be that you're still gonna have upfront conversations.
Yeah.
And this is like, I think this would be a good thing for us to mastermind through, because if Gidget is my client and I'm speaking with her and we agree on what compensation is gonna be paid, and she says to me, I cannot, like, I do not physically have any way to pay you this compensation. So I would only like to see homes that are offering the compensation. So that still is gonna require a conversation between Cheryl and I, because even though we can't filter on the MLS right now, I can filter based on what she was looking for. And then I could look at homes and see what they're offering. That's no longer gonna be an option. So if, and I can't just make that decision myself, right? That would have to be my client directly instructing me, if you cannot negotiate these fees in, I do not want to see that home. Then that's gonna be a conversation between you and the other agent saying, hey, Cheryl, I have a client. This is what they've agreed to pay me. I understand all commissions are negotiable. And is your seller willing with the right offer to pay this price or this compensation? Right? So I think you're gonna have to have conversations, even though it's gonna be part of the REPC, you're still gonna have to have conversations about it in advance. Because if you have a buyer that's saying to you specifically, I do not want to look at homes that will not pay your fee, then you have to be able to have that conversation.
And you can accept more than, you cannot accept more than what your
agreement
contract
says.
allows. However, you can accept less. So if the seller's willing to pay more, you can't accept that difference.
You can't, right?
Cannot.
Yeah, can.
So, because Align is a separate company, right, isn't it? So can't we put something in the show, in a line?
MLS thing.
They connect back in.
There can't
So
be
I
third-party
typically
website.
ask
They've already
Brad
started
Belkey
to
that.
have third-party website.
I asked Brad Belkey that question is a part of your showing instructions, you know, a lot of times it'll say key box on the back door, like it's auto feeder. I asked him if that could be put in there as, like a notice given back to the people who are showing it, like what the VAC that's going to be offered is. And he was like, oh, that's an excellent question. And he reported back to me, no, we're not gonna touch it because we are owned by the handful of MLSs that own. Super is not owned by the MLS, it's owned by the MLS.
Can we do code like for first showings at 3?
I think people are gonna be looking for those kinds of things. Jerry and then Bradley.
So there's already though, just to throw in, because Arizona's already about a month ahead of us with everything's going into effect August 1st. There will be no BBC, there's 24 new forms. Is it a compensation addendum or is it a commission addendum? So you're clicking and keeping them separate. Concessions, which are actually like your interest rate buy downs, et cetera, so like closing costs, or are they commission? There is already though a ton of conversation about all the workarounds. And so the bigger concern is about liability and the 3 pillows on the couch, the 2 apples in the bowl on the counter, the 2.5 cookies laid out. Like there's already a ton of workarounds. The DOJ is extremely, and the NAR concerned, and they're already being told it's $300 per offense for an agent, $5,000 per broker for that same offense, each offense. So the bigger concern from a seller perspective, as a seller's agent, communicating, the questions are going to come in 1,000%. And because though, if I'm calling you about your seller, hey, I'm going to have a buyer that like, I think this house is perfect for, you know, what are you looking at for the seller's compensation? Are they willing or able to assist? Find, ask all the questions. At the same time, if you express what your client is willing to offer, that's still not, I mean, I'm not saying what you're saying isn't legal. I'm saying that to hold your seller to that doesn't mean, even if you already have that in writing to offer it, that you're allowed to say that, that's fine.
Right.
But then it doesn't mean that they don't have the right to change their mind before an offer comes in the what we're most aware of right now. I'm just saying from the whole Arizona side that's changing 1 August. Is that on every conversation, on every request, however it comes in, the answer template potentially should be, I do believe my seller, you know, however you want to verbiage, you know, that my sellers, you know, would be willing to help, assist, whatever. However, simply write the offer, add in whatever you need to put in addendum wise, and my seller will seriously consider that. Otherwise, your liability is a bigger issue of how you do or don't answer that, what you do or don't potentially commit your client to, even if you've already had it in writing, because again, they're able to change their decision until they.
Well, every contract's negotiable. It always has been.
Correct. I'm just saying that if you start publicizing on another landing page, because they are looking at massive workarounds and what new companies and new sites and new whatevers that you show what you offer. It doesn't mean that we're not allowed to, but it doesn't mean that the DOJ wants to see it and that they're not going to come down on that next. Just throwing that out.
Right. Well, I mean, the DOJ has a totally separate agenda that is not consumer friendly, in my opinion, at all. So, Bradley.
Could you put on the MLS that you're offering a VAC, just not disclose it?
Absolutely.
And what about if you just like say, if you're interested in a VAC, to go to my website?
No, you can't do anything directing, right?
It's all incentive, it's all incenting steering. Yeah, that's the biggest concern, that whatever we do is still potentially incentivizing agents to steer buyers to our homes versus it based on the home itself.
Right, but I think that I mean, it doesn't matter, we're gonna get to work about that one all day long, because the flip side of it is the consumer's losing, that is a lower income or and now does not have the ability to come in with whatever the compensation is. We all had buyers that didn't have 2 dimes to rub together to come in
But
for
there's
compensation, and now they
for
can.
that.
Yeah.
Through the negotiation and offer, including compensations. They
Absolutely, absolutely, but I'm just saying that we're talking about steering. Well, if Gidget says to me, I absolutely do not, she's steering herself in that direction too.
Right.
So.
Could you
Like
do it on
advertising.
flyers? Like if you're handing out flyers? could you have
Flyers you can,
VAC?
right? Flyers you can. It can be written, it can be emailed, it can be
Just
text,
not the
it can be, yeah, just not the MLS, not a massive public MLS situation. Angie, then.
Question, so if we have an addendum to our buyer broker agreement, it says, like right now, mine says I'll accept anything between 2.5% to 3%.
It can't be open-ended.
It can't, so it has to be like 3%.
It has
Well,
to be
whatever
a
you want it to
specific
be, but yeah.
amount or a specific percentage. It cannot be open-ended. It cannot be between such and such and such and such. It cannot be up to, it can be not be a minimum of. There can be no open-ended in that.
Okay, so.
So you would have
number,
to
you
do,
can take-
so yeah, so either a number, so I think you'll see some people that are gonna do a flat fee to represent a buyer, whatever they wanna do there. Again, no commissions. If anybody's listening out in the universe, no commissions are fixed. They never have been. They've always been negotiable. If you are walking in with the standard fee is this, you need to change your verbiage immediately. Because there is no standard fee. It's always been negotiable. It can't be open-ended negotiable, because I see that a lot too, like 2.5% to 3%. Or what's on MLS or whatever, right? It cannot be open-ended, so it can't be up to minimum of, at least, nothing that leaves it open-ended. It has to be very clear what it is. Now, you could always decide, just like, you could say, hey, I'm gonna charge, 3 weekends a year in your house in Florida. That's what I'm gonna get paid for representing you. You can charge whatever you want. I can charge whatever. I could charge a dollar amount. I could charge 15% if I want to, as long as I can have the value and I have somebody that says yes. And then I could decide that based on this offer and this compensation and this exact scenario, that I'm going to take less. The difference is I now have to do an addendum to my agreement.
Okay, do that.
Yeah, and if you have, let's say you put 2% in there. If you said, well, I was going between 2 and 4, I'm just gonna do 2.5, that's gonna be my standard. You can't, if somebody's offering 3, or if a negotiation comes in at 3, you cannot get paid more than whatever your agreement says. Okay? Then Bradley.
So if you're working with a buyer, you call a listing agent, you just ask if they're offering a buyer agent commission, and they say yes, 2.5%, they tell you. And then another agent calls that same listing agent. And they say yeah, we're offering 2%. I guess there's nothing like, that could happen.
That could happen.
And you're
Well,
not-
they
and
can
you're
change.
not getting your fix anything, because until they sign that.
But no, we can't lie, you guys.
It's not about.
No,
It's
They-
whatever's signed in
But
the
it's still
agreement.
gonna be so willy-nilly,
Yeah, it's
and
whatever.
there's gonna be so much.
Oh, yeah, the
liability.
exclusive right to sell
Correct.
will have,
The ERS is still gonna have a dollar amount,
so that
guys.
shouldn't, that shouldn't be happening.
It is right now, Sherry.
Not that they.
I'm not a dollar amount percentage
They're not-
for BAC and
It
right
should be
now.
set.
What's that gonna change?
I don't think that's changing. I think that will still be added in there.
What?
Christy, they're still gonna have a deep, like from what we saw from the preliminaries, there still is. In the ERS still shows the percentage to be shared with the
Right.
BBC.
There's still,
Yeah.
that hasn't changed, there's still, on your ERS, you're gonna have your negotiated total of what.
Yeah.
The forms change a little bit, the verbiage and whatnot, and some other factors of that, but that did not.
But that's just not publicly announced.
It's just not, yeah.
So nothing's changing.
But everything's.
Yeah.
I don't want to make extra phone calls.
I'm curious to hear, let's finish this and I'm curious to hear yours.
Sure. It's gonna have to call. Are you offering? Yes, okay, that's all.
From what we were shown in our board of directors meeting, it has like 3 options for, well, that's like from the buyer broker, but on the ERS, it has still the same thing, it just has another little, there's a few more boxes that explain like.
How it's being paid, who's
conditions are
being paid.
negotiable, and, like, disclose things, but nothing else is really a flower. From what we saw.
From what we saw, and it could change, because by the way, that was 2 months ago, and still, as of the most recent newsletter that went out, when you click on the see updated forms here, it still says, we're sorry, this page is not available yet, so.
Well, no, still the MLS is telling us it's gonna be 3 to 5 weeks, and they don't know when it changes.
Dalton, you got a comment?
I'm not excited for the extra work that this is gonna entail on our end for the, in case we don't spend enough time texting and calling, but like. In terms of a way to absolutely just eliminate. Pardon me, but cheap and shitty agents. I'm in, negotiating is what we do, right? That's what we get paid. Like, I'm kind of stoked for this, because I don't know about you guys, but I negotiate my commission on 85+% of offers that I write, because everybody writes 2s and 2.5s. I don't like working for that, so I negotiate my own in there. And I don't see it as any different than roofs or whatever, it's can we put the deal together? And so as a thought, like, when you're talking with listing agents and saying, hey, how motivate you, instead of, are you guys willing to pay me to do my job? Come with it as like, hey, look, I've got a great buyer, they're interested in the house, the numbers have to work for all of us, including me. So, you know, because if remember, if the buyers, say this the right way, if the buyer, if the seller's not offering anything, then I'm looking at my buyer saying that's an out of pocket cost for you, pal, like.
And having that conversation.
Way before, they already believe me, correct, yeah, right, but I mean, at that point, I'm shifting it into the listing agent's game, like, hey, look, I've got this to go, if your sellers have their head right. How bad do you wanna sell this house to, you know, and get it done, right, I mean, I don't know,
So you have to.
the more I learn, the more I'm kind of stoked.
And believe me, I'm thrilled that usually we lose 50% of agents.
Me too.
Meaning the ones that were got in the hot market, like, oh, I had a
Correct.
cottage, can write a contract and close on a house,
Yeah.
okay? So not trying to be rude, just being realistic.
Yeah.
If we lose that, I'm thrilled with that, okay? Because it's gonna make the cream rise to the top.
Yeah.
The question though, that you're gonna have to answer is, if it is the perfect house for your client, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing pro bono. You know what? If we have military, first-time home buyers, whatever, if that's what it takes, if that's the perfect house for them, because you may have sellers that say, no, I'm not.
Mhm.
And if it is that perfect house for them, you have to have had either the multiple conversations
Yep.
or decide what you're gonna do.
Totally.
And I'm just saying that it's just about getting rid of the fact that some agents have only been showing homes that take care of their back pocket and not their clients. And that's what the DOJ wants to get this.
See that, but I will also say, I disagree that I think that there is so much public information that it is really hard to go, oh, I'm not gonna show you that. You don't wanna see that one. It's really hard to steer your clients these days, like, maybe years ago this was working. Maybe when you could filter by commissions, maybe they were only getting sent certain homes. I actually don't think that's as rampant as a problem as they're trying to make it sound like it is. Because there's too much public information. Most of the time, the seller or the buyer has homes they want to see, and you're saying, yes, let me add in these ones too. But I just don't think that's as big of a problem as they try to, there's too many agents that would just do whatever they need. So I think that, yes, it could have been an issue. I don't think it's that big of an issue anymore. Adam, and then we're gonna move on.
So with the current MLS listings that are like, cause this takes place August 17th.
Yep.
Right?
That's what they're saying right now.
So the listings that are live right now, that are gonna overlap that date, are those listings keeping the BAC on them?
So it'll go away.
Cause I didn't know if it was like, okay, listings from now on, like listings after.
So we have to pull MLS on the 16th.
Yes, print everything on the 16th. No, but it's still, for example,
Not the 17th, not even a home that's been on for 90 days.
correct,
It won't-
that field will go away.
Okay.
So if you have something that you're showing, yeah, screenshot it, take a picture of it, whatever it is, now you already know.
Yeah.
Also, if you have something that's under contract, remember, on that day, that field is gonna go away. So if you're already under contract on a property, I would print out the MLS. By the way, that's part of our compliance, guys, is that MLS input, which people complain about all the time. You guys, that's protecting you, it's protecting us. Sean,
Our MLS is prepared to, even though the BAC is going away, but they're prepared to have a concession section in there. So if your seller is going to pay a concession towards closing costs, remodel, whatever it may be, there will be a section for that.
I think that I just read an article recently that they're trying to remove that because they're basically saying it's just another way of offering.
Yeah.
The DOJ already approved it. It's up to the local MLS to do it. Brad told me when I talked to him last, I guess it's been 3 weeks ago, he says that they've already got it created. They're waiting for it to be, the button to be put.
We should follow up with him on that and see if that's still a thing. Because they're really being very clear on the difference between a concession and a commission. Okay. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. This is stuff you can all read. This I feel like is a nice little graphic that is some options on how the buyer can pay their agent. Or how you as a buyer's agent can be compensated. So it can be option 1. It can be a fee negotiated by a negotiated fee. The seller pays for their representation entirely, disclosure of fee sharing, acknowledgement of fee sharing, and the list on MLS, no BBC. And there will be no BBC on MLS. That doesn't even make sense. Oh, it's listed on the MLS with no BBC on it. That is the seller listing agreement to the listing brokerage. There's a contract, the buyer can pay it direct. So the buyer to the buyer's brokerage, the buyer's, it's a negotiated fee. The buyer pays for their representation entirely, and it's completed before showings. The buyer broker agreement. So you have just a buyer direct payment. Buyer can just pay you direct. No negotiation needed. That's exactly what you would negotiate with your seller or with your buyer, but they're agreeing to pay it directly. Option 2 for an offer of compensation is that the seller is it's a negotiated fee. The seller pays for their representation entirely. There's a disclosure of fee sharing, an acknowledgement of fee sharing. It's listed on the MLS. No BBC is on the MLS. The buyer's negotiated fee, it's completed before showing, and then it's completed as quickly as possible prior to the showing, prior to the property right, and completed after the agency agreement. The buyer's broker that satisfies the buyer's financial obligation and the buyer broker agreement. This is the brokerage compensation contract. The listing brokerage and the buyer's brokerage, meaning the seller is going to share. The seller can pay, so then this is the other option, is the seller can pay it, which is the negotiated fee. Seller pays for their representation entirely. There's a disclosure of sharing fees. There's an acknowledgement of fee sharing. It's listed on the MLS. There's no BBC on the MLS. It's a negotiated fee completed. It's the contract completed before showing in a buyer's agency agreement. And then the real estate broker's payment addendum, the seller agrees in the rep C to pay a buyer's brokerage. The buyer's financial obligation under the buyer broker agreement is satisfied. So it can be a combination of options 1, 2, and 3 to satisfy their obligation. So for example, in Dalton's example that he used, he charges X amount percent for, and it's not a fixed amount, whatever Dalton decides to charge. Dalton decides he's going to charge 4% to this particular buyer. They're unicorn, there's something very specific. Whatever he's providing, he has, they understand his value, that's what he's going to charge. A combination would be maybe the seller agrees in the contract to pay 2 of the 4% that Dalton is charging, and then the buyer can pay them direct the other amount. Does that make sense? So it doesn't have to just be one or the other, it can be a combination of. So in that same scenario, if the seller says,
I have 2 of those actually right now.
yeah, if the seller says, I'm paying this amount and that doesn't satisfy the obligation, then the buyer can choose to pay the difference. Okay, because, but guess what? It has to be paid by somebody because Dalton has an agreement. It could be a combination of all 3 that Dalton says, hey, I was charging 4%. The seller's agreeing to pay 2. The buyer can only come in with 1. I'm going to cover the last percent amount. I'm going to remove that. So now I'm only charging 3 versus 4. However you want to do that, this is all negotiable. Okay, the compensation was never a fixed rate. Never was. Really, like, let's say that together. It was never fixed. Compensation is negotiable. Okay, it's a negotiable thing. Yeah.
So, do buyers need to start getting in their heads that they're gonna have to not only come up with a down payment, moving costs, but potentially their agents, salaries?
So when you're having a consultation with your buyers, there's food out there. Sorry, don't go eat if you want.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay.
Just gotta open a puck.
When you're having a consultation with your buyer, and everybody's consultation can look different, obviously your strategy is something your own. But one of the things that I was already commonly doing was talking about the things like along the way, like I have a little road, and along the way where they would need to have money, right? So I would talk about, hey, you're going to talk to your lender, you're going to need earnest. And earnest money is collected at this point. It comes off of your down payment at closing based on your loan amount. You might get it back, right? Like there's things that I'm talking to them about. Hey, you're gonna need money at earnest money. That's cash out of your pocket you're gonna need. Hey, at inspection time, you're gonna have to pay for an inspection. That's cash out of your pocket at inspection time. Then when we go to closing, you're gonna have, the remainder of your down payment, closing costs from your loan, all of those things. That's gonna be the amount that you bring into the title company. Now I'm looking at that as, hey, some of the things that are considered closing costs, you're gonna have your loan fees. And in the event I don't negotiate with the seller my fee, that would be part of that amount due at closing. Right? So I'm already giving them, because I feel like a good upfront conversation eliminates a back end conversation. So I'm already giving them the pieces along the path that they're going to have money. So if I'm telling them now, hey, this is the amount you need here, let's meet with your lender. What's your down payment amount gonna be? Your lender's gonna tell you they're gonna need X amount down plus my closing costs, so this is the amount they're gonna need. I'm gonna be adding that in. It's like, hey, the fee that you and I have agreed to today is this. I'm gonna do my best to get that I'm gonna negotiate with the seller, hopefully get part of that paid for you or on your behalf. This is worst case scenario, just like with the seller, you guys, when I do a net sheet with the seller, I'm going through worst case scenario with the seller. I'm not seeing sunshine and rainbows. I'm going through like, hey, worst case, this is what I believe we can sell the house for. This is what the fees will be. This is where I think the seller's gonna ask, or the buyer's gonna ask for this. This is your worst case bottom line. I'm gonna be doing that same thing with the buyers. Hey, here's the money that you're gonna need, when you're gonna need it, and when it's gonna be due, and here's some ways that here's some ways that fee can be covered. Right, because there still can be gifts, right? This isn't taking away like that mom and dad can give the buyer a gift.
Right.
That's not taking that away. That could be, maybe we build in some of the closing costs and a little higher interest rate, and now they're not paying lender's fees because they're paying a brokerage fee instead. There's a lot of ways to work through it. But the challenge that I think you're gonna run into is if you have no conversation with them about that's a possibility that they're gonna have to pay part of it or all of it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, by the way, you owe me $14,000. And they're like, wait, what? Right? That's when it's gonna be a problem, is if we're not having the conversation up front. Because it might be, you guys, I'm sure you've all had it. I have some people right now who are like, we're pre-approved, but based on our income, we actually need to save 5% versus 3.5%. And so we're still saving a little money, right? They're saving more money right now. Everybody's been in a situation where someone said, I'm saving more money, but I want to buy a home, but I'm saving more money. They might now have to save even more money. Hey, I'm saving more money for my down payment, closing costs, commissions. That's what it's gonna cost to save a house or to buy a house. So I'm saving more money. Sherry, then Christy, then we got me.
Well, and a simple difference in the line item is it's ultimately just gonna go, potentially, it'll end up showing up as a line item on the seller net sheet or a seller closing alta statement, or it'll be a line item on the buyer alta net sheet. It's literally just that's the simplest difference is where it shows up based on the agent and how they've negotiated and how their contract is written. It's either gonna show up on the seller's or the buyer's alta net sheet.
We don't have time to go through all these because we are now out of time. Oh, my watch is 15 minutes fast, you guys. I thought we were out of time. It turns out I have
15 minutes.
15 more minutes. Okay, so we already talked through this. Disclosure to the seller. This is just saying the settlement requires listing agents to disclose to sellers any portion of their compensation that will be shared with the cooperating broker. We already do that. That's our practice right now. It will not change in Utah as this already takes place in the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. The listing agreement also explains the compensation is not set by law and is fully negotiable. That's already in our agreements now. Nothing changes there. How will buyers get paid without offers of compensation on the MLS? So there's types of compensation available for buyers brokers would continue to take place in multiple forms, depending on the buyer consumer negotiations, including but not limited to a fixed fee compensation paid directly by consumers. You guys, there's nothing that says that you have to charge 1% or whatever. You can charge a flat fee. This is your business. We're going to encourage you to really know your worth. So please don't be the people, because here's what I want you to think about when you're writing a number. If you're going to go the flat fee route, when you're writing a number in that box, because the box remains the same, that says a dollar amount and a percentage. So you can do both. You can do either or. Think to yourself, if I write an offer right now, and I'm willing to just sign, I'm just filling out forms. Guys, there's no just filling out forms in the state of Utah. We owe them a full fiduciary agreement with our client, okay? So there's no I'm just filling out forms for them. No, they're signing a form that says you are fully representing them in all capacities, no matter what you charge. So when you're putting a number in that box, I want you to think to yourself of your blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this transaction and the fact that you could be sued, which means we get sued. And is the $500 or the $5,000 or the $50,000 that you wrote in that number, is that enough for you to take on the liability of what you're agreeing to? This is a contract you're entering into. It's a legal contract saying, I am going to represent Justin as I'm his agent. He is my buyer. I'm going to fully represent him in all capacity. It's not me saying, I'm going to kind of represent him. I'm just going to fill out some forms for him. That's not what the statement says. That's not what the agreement says. So if I'm putting that number in there, I have to know that whatever work I'm putting in is my value in exchange for the amount that I'm gonna charge. Because again, you guys can charge whatever you want. But keep in mind what you're worth. We all work really hard. I've been on the phone with a lot of you at 11 o'clock at night and you're in tears. Or whatever it is, right? You guys work really hard for your people. So do not undervalue yourself. Just get better about telling what your value actually is. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just were like, oh, this is just a little thing you just have to sign. You don't even need to worry about it. It's not going to come out of your pocket because you don't want to have a hard conversation about money. It was never free. It maybe wasn't money out of their pocket, but it was never free for them to have representation. So please don't make it that way. It can be in a concession from the seller, or it can be in a shared portion of the listing broker's compensation. Compensation would continue to be negotiable and should always be negotiable between the agents and the consumers they serve. Implementation gets closer, we'll provide the mechanics on each payment options. Thinking maybe by August 6th we'll have that. This is just telling you some ways that while it's not displayed on the MLS and there will not be an MLS generated agreement between the brokers, they're already using the brokerage commission escrow instructions. That's always been there. Well, not always, but it's been there recently. In addition to the financial obligations being offset by the compensation, it can be negotiated in a real estate purchase contract. There's an addendum for that already. That's there. If you don't have that, it's literally called, John, what's the addendum? Buyer's real estate compensation addendum or something like that. It's already in place. And then Utah buyers are already utilizing these free compensation options or a combination of them. And then after the settlement, the mechanics will change only slightly. And so they've created the diagram that we just went through. So again, it's going to just depend on, and that's when we're talking about settlement, whose side is this showing up on, or is it a combination of both, right? So it's just depending on whose side that shows up on. This is directly that little scanning QR code that we've had up in the last several meetings. It's going to continue to be up. You can find this information in command. This is a simple one-page sheet that is explaining kind of what happened and what the practice changes are. This is very clearly right here. So if you are not sure, or if you need to have this is just a one page. It's literally this. This is what it looks like. Would this be a pretty easy addition into your packets? Yeah, guys, again, we don't have to reinvent the language. We don't have to make up whatever. There are facts around. I mean, as much as they are, they're facts. I'll actually give you this one, but it's in command. You're gonna just click, once you're logged into command, click on connect, and then it takes you and you can check NAR settlement. And Cheryl, there's also this big A packet, and we're gonna email it. Bradley's gonna email this out in our weekly recap. Cool. And then there's also this whole thing with your FAQs. There's a lot of FAQs.
The MLS just sent an email, they're making the change on the
14th is when the change goes into effect. I'm gonna be that'll be a fun day. So anyway, I think that's a great little info to just add into your packets. It's now, you're not having to explain it, you're not having to figure out, you're not having to be the attorney behind it, you're giving the information that your buyers and sellers can go find on their own.
Even better have them sign that they received the copy.
Exactly, and it says right here, sellers can still decide to specifically offer cooperative compensation, and it can be marketed any place other than the MLS, such as newsletter, text message, or a broker or agent's own website. You cannot market other brokerages cooperative compensation for their listings on your broker website. All of these, this first section is going to all be part of our standard agreement. And then sellers can still offer a concession to buyers in the MLS. That concession can be used to pay the buyer's agent should the buyer choose. The concession offer from the seller to the buyer can be noted in the public comment of your listing. So concession offer would be like me saying in my listing that I talked about earlier, we're willing to pay $6,000 towards a rate buy down to buy the rate down for 1 year, and then lender will refinance anytime in the next 3 years. Okay, that can be in the public comments because that's a concession, but I can't say we're willing to pay a 3% commission. Concession commission. Everybody knows the difference.
What about a trip to Jamaica?
Can I just write there?
Yes. You can if that's what they're willing to pay. That's a concession.
Plus one. Me and a plus one.
Sean, can they offer a trip to Jamaica? If we call it a concession, not a compensation.
If Sean is the plus one.
If John's your plus one, then he says.
Yeah, there is a franchise fee and. a split.
Okay, we'll have, again, we can talk through a few more things if you want to. Our sponsor today is High Mountain Home Inspections. He did have lunch delivered and there's some swag and stuff out there. This is Corey Wayman, owns the company. He's been in business for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, something like that. He is my preferred inspector. If anyone else has used him or has anything great to say, great. He's our inspector today. He's actually doing an inspection for Allison, so he's not here to talk to us about it. But I told him that I would give him a little shout out. The meeting is there. Before, I'm gonna see what time it actually is.
Those of you that haven't used Corey, he's a great guy. He's got a great company and he's on it.
Yeah.
He would rather be out inspecting, maybe talking to people like us, so. But he's always supporting us.
Absolutely used him, and right now he's a brand new construction house. It's just a resale, but literally the trusses were absolutely mangled and oh my God, they have been out there saving my buyer's contract. And getting the builder fixing it.
Yeah.
The fix was crap.
Oh.
And we got new pictures. It's like, yeah, no, you're not putting a Band-Aid on a piece of truss.
Yep.
Trusses
On
on a brand new home. So
I
yeah.
love it. Brand new homes need inspections too.
Yes,
Christy.
I touched out them out as well. They are phenomenal. There's been several times that they've been on the phone with our client with, you know, like the questions on their initial test that they had done, that whole radon, whatever, but our clients just don't understand. They'll go down the phone with them. And that, you don't need to be, they're great. Highly recommend. Yeah, do not like their website.
Okay. Anyone else? Rob? We have 5 minutes. Then we'll open up for Q&A.
Oh, is anyone else like, oh my gosh, this is like the longest? And also it feels like we've been talking about it because it just isn't ending and it keeps on changing.
And also remember the final sign up on this is until November 26th. So this is fluid. It's like these changes are coming in August, but it's still fluid. So just be mindful and keep educated and informed because nothing has been final and delivered yet. So be mindful.
Now, there was a timeline that I thought I had, and I guess I didn't put it in there. But basically, the deadline for them to make the MLS changes is the 17th. Sounds like ours is gonna be the 14th. I know some are starting August 1.
3 minutes ago.
Okay, some are starting August 1, some already did it. I mean, there's some changes that way that are gonna happen. But it is important to note that because there might be some changes out of practice, right? They might go, oh, well, now we're practicing it and we're not gonna sign the final settlement. Sean.
So, our Northern Wasatch hasn't started this yet, but, I've seen it happen in Washington or as well as Cache. Where in the days of the old, you used to be able to become a realtor, you had 90 days to do your continuing education to get your, what do they call it, new agent orientation, get Supra training, all of that. But they allowed you to use Supra. Both of those other boards are saying, nope, not anymore. Starting August 1st, the day you start as a realtor, you have to, before you can go in, you have to go through the new agent orientation. And the bulk of it is so you know the rules with this NAR thing.
I think it's a good thing.
They're not messing around with violations. My guess is Northern Wasatch will probably say the same thing. They just haven't said it.
Yep, probably. I am good. So tell me, when do we have to have a buyer's agency agreement signed? Right now.
Before showing a house.
Before you show a house. What about an open house?
No.
You just
Yeah.
want for the sellers, act like you can give them information on other listings.
Yep, so when you start crossing over into, like, I know a lot of us do this, right? We're prepping for an open house, we're holding this home open, but maybe this home isn't the exact fit for the buyer, and we have these 4 other homes in the area that we'd like to talk to you about. That is crossing over a line into representation from a buyer, so you would need to do that. Also, can you do a 1 house listing agreement or buyer's agency agreement? Sure.
One
Sure.
house, one day.
One house, one day, 1 week, however you want to do that, right? You can say, yes, I can meet you at that house. I know a lot of you are speed to lead. I know you do internet leads and you're like, well, how's this going to affect me? If I tell them they have to meet me at the office and sign an agency agreement, there's no way I'm going to get the list. There's no way I'm going to get the buyer. They're going to go to somebody else. You can still say, hey, I will meet you at the house. Just so you know, some rules changed. Here's what they are. I'm going to expect that you sign this agreement for this home before we see it. And hopefully everybody's up to date on that. That should be the exact same conversation that they're having. And everybody's going to do that same thing. So it's not like you're in it alone. I had someone the other day say, this makes me feel so much better because there's so many people who I know that just go, oh, I just show them houses and then I don't make them sign an agreement until we're going to write a contract. And I feel like I'm the bad guy that's trying to make them write a contract. Everybody's in the same boat here, guys. And also, I do think, because they're asking like, one of the things like, how will police this? Well, that's unknown. That's a really great question. I personally think there's probably going to be some little like
Secret shop.
secret shoppers. I was gonna say, back in my old video store days, guys, tells you how old I am. I used to work at a video store, but we would have people like, because we had a certain way we had to answer the phone. And it would change periodically, but we would have people that would call. We would have people that would secret shop us. I think that's probably going to happen.
The division already has secret
Yeah,
shoppers.
they already do have secret shoppers. If you think they don't, you're crazy. Okay, brokers, any last comments?
I'm gonna just say that, I don't think our best practices have been established yet, and I think it's probably gonna take 90 to 120 days to kind of navigate through this and figure that out. Just keep in mind that we're all new to this. It's gonna be a change it's supposedly better for the consumer. So we'll see how that goes. I do truly believe that a lot of the NAR settlement stuff doesn't really apply to our state because we're so far advanced compared to a lot of them. But just keep in mind that we're all new to this new change and we just gotta work through it. Be patient with each other.
Be patient with each other, inside and outside the brokerage, guys. Like, I love that I just had, like, I had an appointment last week of an agent that joined us. And the reason that he wanted to join Keller Williams is because he had done a deal with one of our agents. It was Tennille Ridgeway. I'll give her a shout out. And he said she was so amazing to work with. She was professional. She was kind. She answered her calls. She had knowledge. And he's like, when I was looking at, I moved to the area. I was working in another brokerage in Utah County before. And when I moved here, I knew that that was who I want. Like, I wanted to be part of a group that had agents like that. So I hope that that's what we can continue to do. And I think Sean's right. And you're going to run across people who maybe are not getting the education that they need. And it's going to require a little more conversation. And you're probably going to want to beat your head against the wall a few times. And I promise you that at one point in your career, you wanted someone else wanted to beat their head against the wall based on what your conversation is. So just let's play nice in the sandbox. Catherine.
Just real quick, I mean, the education committee has a lot of classes, not just on everything. There's so many, you shouldn't be just taking, in my opinion, taking classes to play credits. You should take what's there because there's so much out there. I bring the list of classes every month and put them up on the board there. You're not charged if you don't show up anymore, but please show up because we're still paying the instructors. So.
Yeah, there's so much good education out there, you guys. There's really no reason that we shouldn't be. We don't have to welcome the change or be excited about it, but we certainly shouldn't be scared or like that. We don't.
And Frank gives like I think just about every month he gives a class that's so good about things that are happening that he knows about because he gets all those legal calls all the time. So he always includes those in their absolutely amazing class.
Yep. Okay, love it. Go eat your lunch. Tell Corey thanks. And have a great day.
Yes.
All right, I didn't make that one. Not great. Whatever got the morning, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be other things. Remind me of the information. Okay. Thanks, Ronnie. Yeah. Bradley, do you know what this marker is the wet erase chalk marker.
Yeah. And I've been promoting Monday. I don't know what's the question for you. Well, I do have.
Trying to explore those by that 2.5 to 3. You're right.
You don't get them, especially under contract. Everything else will just. Anything after that.
Yeah, well, you're being.
I would just do it. It's kind of easy.
I feel like
Yeah, it's like a something. If we're not gonna try to fire that date, then I'm gonna ask you to sign an agreement. I'll show you the whole change.
okay. Yeah, like, I've had that, right, like, and I've had that.
Me too, and I'm looking as long as.
And if you have same nights where early should do this. So we're.
A couple of those. You know, just kind of whatever. So I've had that conversation, so they know, it's just that I did. I just want to make.
That shouldn't be an issue, and it could even be as simple as like, because the updates are reasonable. But it could be like, you can and then that's, if there is compensation somewhere, so they do choose to make it 3%, you're bringing it 2.5. And then you're really, so that would just be.
And then you know, our training is in here.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Thank you guys for doing all this. I'm like, I'm a structure person, so don't make it improv.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me how you want it.
I know, I think that's the thing that is the most. I think that's the thing that's the most, everybody that's rapping. Because it isn't like, and just like Sherry was saying, they may agree to something, but then basically, they say they want, that they're not willing to do it, right?
I don't do that. Think about it. I'm like, I'll do it. That'll be fine. We're gonna choose like, oh, we're kind of doing it. So there's. Well, we have here. What you mentioned, like,
But it depends on what, but that's a strategy that she.
Well, you can see the.
Right, have you seen, did you value sport class? So did you see that one share, like the 13 reasons why you want to pay my station as a member? I think it's so funny. But if you go through that, then it gets they say these, so you can pay.
It's really.
Or we can offer that, which might be yours. About your strategy, and as long as the buyers or the sellers together, then everybody.
yeah, and about that, I know. And about that, yeah, Christy shared her the new, presentation. And so that was for, I had that whole section in there about why they're valuable and, you know, what they do. And I'm like, I didn't even think about not telling them exactly what it is, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I think probably like it depends on the seller too, like approach is gonna be like, yes, they're absolutely. Whatever you want to bring to hire on, and then I'll go ahead and see what we can do on this house on this, so really. I'm gonna approach it like, yes, they're out, prepared to pay a compensation, fire payment. Like they're prepared.
Okay.
So right now, right.
Right. And give me like the era, and it does have that number for the situation in there.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
And pay less, you know,
The rep, yeah, I think that's actually on that, but I do think the rep fee would, because your agency agreement, not between you. And the your agreement is rep fee. I would say the rep fee will supersede.
Then you wouldn't have to pay for change.
I'll get clarification on that.
That's okay, that's just a few. But
because that is, I mean, that's a good question though, because as far as One thing changed all together. It's like now from what I've seen, that staying in the still shows this amount. But they understood how it was totally separate. It's the amount of work it is. It's still in that agreement, but it was they remove that completely. And look at it, like I know. Before it was. Understand why, yeah. That's what I think too. And so I don't know, I guess we'll see what happens and then every Tuesday. That's a different topic, obviously. I agree with you, I think it's. And they're going. We'll get through it, right? Yeah. And then also. So much better for next communication, that's gonna be great. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And then really, I'm on the sick. Probably. Thank you so much. Oh, your daughter's having a baby too? Wow, yeah. He is to. Yeah, he's good. And my son oh. Yeah. I don't know how they're gonna do it with out of state. Well, not one. All in that. Yeah, they're being. Yeah, I mean, we moved to California after we got married, so. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. No, that's the only reason. Well, my parents told me that they did. Yeah. For real, like they're legit people. And now you have got babies. Now I'm done. No, for real. But Erica wants me to come channel. I'm not going to.
I only went into little town of Hamilton. I just love how quiet it is in that area, obviously, you don't.
Hamilton, Montana. Oh,
Which is like probably 6-ish hours from here. Oh, the best state of it, Gibbonsville, which is like 20 minutes from Salmon, I guess, what that is. BSB. Which is like nice, quiet. No, I have the edge to move, but that's probably.
yeah, my brother, the Andrew. Every day. It's time traffic. There's a little bit of traffic there too. Oh, God.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, really, but go out of one city, what it used to be, Metro, from my house, on 2,000, like to. Okay, out that way, on 2,000 west. Oh, my God.
West Haven,
Yes, let's do.
yeah, all of them.
That construction. I mean, that is what I get to do with the like another day. Oh, my
We bring
God.
Autobahn
As a grandparent, oh, I would. Yeah, I mean, that's what my parents. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I love John. He's like, oh. Their last, where they home, their son, so she just Saturday, I was very Sunday, I don't know very Monday. And then we go. I know, he's very kind. They kind of.
I was planning to go for COVID. And I walked over the first 4 months. I was like,
You know what? If I didn't have to work. And I told her, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, no, I want to hear that. And I just, but I mean,
it's so nice the first time off. It's so nice.
yeah,
On the other hand.
Figure it out.
Because my mom was there for, kids, there for 2 weeks as a. And when I have no other friend in my life.
No, my God, they were just trying to us based on the pictures, but Jonathan said it's like that was a lot, like. Your kids are. Yeah, so that's like I should sleep. Yeah, like she's bringing that.
And big were like, you know,
She could be dreaming. Her request was so it's a guy, I don't know what.
it is, they'll grow out of it, that's what you want. When they sleep, then there's no sun. And so when they try to do that, it only looks like this instead of like.
So you know. Yeah, she had a few friends, they're like, you have seen this? Like, but it sounds not just the little tiny. Yeah.
They know can be a baby.
Yeah, I text Deb a little while, I was like, yeah, baby yet?
Yeah. Like,
I don't know,
we're on the pregnancy.
I don't know.
Yesterday at noon, it was like nothing. I'm like, come on.
Healthy level.
And then you can always just get your private data and then, so we should go. Hey, how are you?
Well,
Yeah, you have, are you in the front or the no? It's the color skip on it. Okay, I'll be right there. Thank you.
Do they? I love it. I love mine. Hey, see you later. Bye, Chrissy. Have a good rest of your day. See you later. Last week, we were home last week, but I didn't do everything catch up. I could not be able to really do like. Yeah, like I got like, those are like the staples, but like. My daughter's like, oh, I know child, like, there's something there, just make what's there, and I will go shopping this week.
Oh, my son doesn't have like anything. He's not making out.
Yeah, I always have stuff, but it's just like.
No, he will go hungry all day. Yeah, he's so stubborn. If you make it, he'll pound it, but like, he's so lazy that he's like. Yeah.
I just took for a pointer on my like, did you know it's me? I don't think I did. I think I, yeah. I know, you're like, I can't do it, can't you? Oh, no, I swear, oh, yeah. But no, I feel like I got an email, maybe you scan it like it's scanned it. I swear, but that's perfect, I'm gonna press it both. I'll just go and I appreciate you, let me know if you need anything at all. Yeah, me too. Okay, and then I'm trying to, coordinate an open house for Ashley, for something to do for, oh, yeah, for. I thought that, copy your. Okay, I'll pull that up then and see, because, someone else messaged me, but I don't think that's who it was, for days ago. I'll pull it up, yeah, and, yeah, I'll just let her know, then.
Let me know too. I can make like another post, maybe if it would help to do it a little closer, like or something.
Yeah, that would be good, but yeah, I'm surprised, but it's helpful for them, yeah, probably the other one, where you're gone, and I'm.
Yeah, I'll maybe make another post today and hopefully just get it right.
Yeah, click on there, please, click on there, and then I'll text you. That'd be great.
Perfect. Okay, we'll see you later.
You're not excited about it?
I feel like.
You know, bring somebody new, is what you're thinking.
Why do you get someone new? Yeah. I voted on someone new, and then they never followed up with us. It was real bad communication, like it was nonstop. It went on for months. Finally, everyone's like, okay, we're done with that. Yeah. That's just too Terry. So, because he was number 2 choice. And he's good.
He's good. I get where you're coming from, where you're like.
Yeah.
I like Terry. I think he's good.
Yeah.
It's pretty different than we're doing it. But it'll be buffet and it won't be till after he's done, you go buffet.
That's
Okay.
yeah. The go boxes.
Well, that's it. So that 4 people don't go create huge boxes. Yeah. I know, so.
Yeah, buffet. But I think for so many people here are used to having, you know, they do have some, you know, that so many people left. Everything was on the invitation.
Yeah. And that we do. Yeah, you're right. You're counting. Yeah. What am I gonna? Yeah. She's like, but he had like an RSVP for dinner with me, and like it was very well like there is going to be a buffet dinner from this time to this time, dancing from this time to this time. She's like, what do you eat? It's like I started like the private party, and that was it. Nobody else really even ate.
I mean, people didn't stay till 10 o'clock at night to finish dancing and show them off, you know, see them off with the big bra like you usually do back. So my son's getting married in November.
This is the one that's getting married at the work.
Yeah. We've been living together for 8 years, so. Yeah, and there's only gonna be 17 of us. 17 people. The Flores wanted. Let's see if I can get this right. I mean, it's purple keg and a couple of things on different tables. And 17. The Flores wanted $10,000.
Holy are you kidding me?
We wanted a day of, first, like a day of person to like coordinate everything, like oversee.
Oh, wow.
$28,000 they wanted.
You're gonna do it.
Plus
I'll do it for
expensive.
15.
I'll tell her.
I'll be a year plus one, I'll do it for 15.
Plus it's spending on
A wedding in
travel
November and I love a
expenses.
great resort, no problem, I'll be there.
They wanted travel expenses and, the hotel stay, so I'm not even paying for my mom's hotel room, what are you talking about, I'm gonna pay for it. I mean, everything she told me, I'm like, oh,
Just stop it, don't tell me anymore.
yeah.
Go alone.
Really cool thing, yeah. What are you doing for 70 people? Like, you know, that's including them. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about it, like. And you all have to. I mean, okay, it's always good to have one, but yeah, I mean, everybody, the guys are supposed to wear the right shirt.
So it's gonna be all black and then.
Hi, I was with you.
Oh, you did? Hey,
Yeah.
good. I was gonna actually message you later and say, Mike, I haven't seen you on TV today and I've seen you consistently.
I've been regular.
You have been.
I like to get back hard though.
Is it going good? Good. Anyway, yeah, she's gonna be the bride and white.
You can get there, you know, my mom has traumatic brain injury in years, but a little crazy, you know. So mom's coming out. Hey, how are you? They have a dog, really young dog. But, so. Okay, when yeah. But then they're good. Yeah, friends and grandparents. Yeah. So like. Oh my God. He's saying. What do you want to say?
Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for,
Hopefully that wasn't too chaotic.
that was great.
It is I think it's just gonna be our reality.
Yeah.
Feel free to just phone a friend, call me, if you need. I'm gonna be like the line, like the hotline's open.
I really, yeah, I want to come today, just with,
Good.
yeah,
Make sure you come on the 6th too, that'll be the one,
okay,
for sure.
is that another?
So Craig Wagner's gonna be here,
Oh.
and he's like, if you call
Another
the
kind of update thing on
Yeah.
this stuff?
he's gonna go through the contract changes.
Oh.
He's an attorney,
Okay.
and he's, yeah, so like if you call the legal hotline, he's one of the people that you'll talk to.
Oh,
He's the,
that'll be good.
So he'll bring the actual contract changes and we'll.
What to look for when you're
Yeah.
now looking at it, right?
That'll be good when that's on the 6th.
Yeah, I actually had something else on the 6th and I changed it after I saw this guy brand new computer.
You know, we reached out to him a while ago. It's like, I think everybody, as soon as the changes hit, will be trying to call him to come in. I'm like, I'd rather him come before. And at first, even when Sean asked him to talk to Percy, it's like, as long as they're an official release, because they're not letting them do them until they're an official release. Yeah, it's like, as long as they are. It's like, if not, there'll be plenty of them. He's so.
He had always,
He always has them.
and good information.
Like, it's just so unfortunate to miss it. You know, it's like I had multiple conversations just with my neighbor, they're just like. So what are the changes? Like now, like when I sell, like we, you know, it's not gonna cost as much.
It's not just neighbor.
No, that's how it is. You're not saving 3% like the headline state.
Yeah.
Like,
You're not.
nothing is changing.
And
And that's what I've always been saying. I'm just like,
Or-
nothing
Yeah.
is changing.
Yeah.
It's like, working with the seller,
Negotiate it.
I'm already, yeah. like, It's like, hey, it's best to offer. Maybe we should, so we get all these. We get the views to the, you know, thousands and thousands of buyers. We're here, and that's what we're doing now, and that's what we'll continue. Like, how bad do you want to get your home sold? Right? Nothing is changing. Like, nothing is changing.
17 grand on $330,000.
Is it the one that you are selling? Is it an offer? Well, you can't count.
Me too, I'm like, don't. Now you just tell her.
Yeah,
What can you do? Let's do it.
Yeah. yeah.
And then this is it, but they didn't, Becky, he called me while we've been in this meeting, and that was like 3 weeks ago. They're still looking.
So what ended up happening? You counter them, then they're like, no, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But now he's calling you back.
17,000 plus he wanted, because it's a 2.5 EHC, he wanted another half, yeah, 1 3, so he asked for that too. Weird that he can't. You know, don't even come back, we should take that now, you can change. Yeah.
You look at her and Chad, we're sitting there.
Certainly are. Wonderful to work with, you know, I've been for.
Compensate you.
Yeah, but you can negotiate.
Yeah.
No, well, that's what I was asking, yeah, just, yeah.
But they are.
They're
They've been really good with her. They've been really good with her to help her with. So. Yeah. But. It does, you know. I just told her she can't do anything. Oh, boy.
Yeah, so that, to show that to the buyer that I. The problem is, he has until like. She's living with like, we had her brother's house in Logan until like next month. So it's almost like, it's so, yeah, that's what's so frustrating, because she's like, yeah, we're actively looking every weekend. I'm showing her,
So she's on the right one, she's gonna.
even like last time, so like.